Next up in my new To Me Distillery series is Blade & Bow with their Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. I'm Captain Mike, this is Whiskey and Witerature, and I had felt like I was moving along pretty well in my whiskey exploration, if you will, but that there's a whole world of whiskey out there I hadn't tried, hence the new To Me Distillery series. I have owned a bottle of Blade & Bow before, but I hadn't opened it before Hurricane Helene hit our area, and that bottle's buried deep somewhere in our storage unit. So I picked up this bottle of Blade & Bow after doing a distillery tour at Stitzel Weller. And I do have to tell you that I asked the tour guide, like, do you guys distill Blade & Bow here at Stitzel Weller? And she said that they might occasionally do a small batch of it there, but it's mostly done at Diageo's Lebanon, Kentucky distillery. Given the fact that they do the Solera process with Blade & Bow, I honestly doubt that anything is distilled at that Stitzel Weller distillery except for experimental batches for Diageo's other brands. Okay, so at least we know Blade & Bow's parent company Diageo does the distilling. This Blade & Bow, it is very available. You can go down to most stores and pick one up, and it is affordable. Whether you think it's a value, that's another thing. Okay, let's do the specs and stats and then get to it. The mash bill and the age, they're undisclosed. Probably, maybe it's a wheated bourbon. I'm pretty sure that's what the guide said, but it's not confirmed on their website. This is blended using the Solera method, which is they take the newer batches and they blend them into the older batches. They have their barrels, and as they're emptying them, they never quite empty them all the way, and they refill them. This is Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, so we know it has to be aged in new charred oak. So I guess they age it, and then as they're blending the batch and it together, they're emptying those barrels, not quite emptying them all the way, and then refilling them. It sounds actually pretty costly and complicated. Looking at the website, it says, the Solera system allows us the opportunity to incorporate bourbon from the Stitzel Weller distillery into every bottle. So how much of that old Stitzel Weller is in this bottle? Well, they ain't telling, but I guarantee you it's not very much. Minuscule, I would imagine. This is bottled at 91 proof. MSRP is $39.99. I did pay $52.99 for this bottle, including tax. And the idea for this new To Me Distillery series to keep the videos as short as possible and to give you the best possible review, try and be at least halfway through the bottles before filming. As far as the tasting goes, color-wise, it's light to medium amber. The nose, it's light and ethereal. It's like soft with some vanilla and caramel. On the palate, it's also soft and doughy and sugary like an unbaked sugar cookie. It's thin, finishes with some pepper and spice. Overall, like Blade & Bow, it's a very serviceable bourbon. I'm never sad when I'm sipping some, except that I could be sipping something superior. There's really nothing in this bottle that makes it stand out in a good or a bad way. This is just going to sit on my shelf until a B or C tier friend comes over. Or if someone who says they don't like whiskey or bourbon comes over, this is as inoffensive as you can get, and just give them a sip of this. And except for Blade & Bow 22, there's no other Blade & Bow expression you can try. There's no high rye or cask strength Blade & Bow. Quite honestly, this is just going to sit on my shelf, and I'm not going to reach for it very often because the bourbon inside the bottle doesn't live up to the story they're trying to sell. But you know, I did find another use for Blade & Bow today, or at least my wife did. She did her first loaf of sourdough bread yesterday, and she made some French toast, which I can really recommend. Sourdough French toast is pretty great. And she found this recipe for a whiskey-infused maple syrup. So she's like, what whiskey can I use for this? And I was like, you know what? Go ahead and use some of this Blade & Bow. And Blade & Bow is pretty good infused in maple syrup. So there you go, guys, if you're looking for a use for your bottle. All right, guys, if you've enjoyed the video, like it, it's free. Subscribe to see more of my content. Again, I talk about whiskey and books. But for now, my friends, you know what to do. I hope you're reading something good, drinking something great, and wearing that damn hat. Cheers.